we should acknowledge Jake from the Windy City, who says, Eric, I thought your Vince Austin style feud with Cena in 2005 was really underrated and fun. You both had great chemistry. Congrats to John. We got the announcement tonight, much like we did, I guess, last November, that Sting was going to retire. Well, now we know that John Cena is going to retire. He announced that next year's Elimination Chamber would be his last, and next year's WrestleMania would be his last. And he's actually clarified at the press conference tonight, Eric, that he's wrestling the entire calendar year next year. So next year is his last year in wrestling, but that doesn't mean WrestleMania will be the last show. It'll be January to December. So 1 year of John Cena uncensored on Netflix. What do you think of that news?
John's a smart dude, and he's finally going to be able to buy that Ferrari collection he's been hoping to own at some point. By the way, check out the Easy E mugs. You got to get with it, folks. Come on, be real. Get the mug, get the shirt, fly it with pride. You'll be glad you did. I think it's great for John. Great business. Great for WWE and TKO. He's going to be printing money. You know, especially, you know, you're announcing it a year in advance. You get all these events between now and then. Every one of them is going to be special. Every one of them is going to have collector merchandise. I'm sure that Mattel and all the other licensees that are associated currently with WWE are going to be investing heavily in John Cena retirement collectible product. And it's just going to be a money-making festival over at TKO and WWE.
No doubt about it. I made the analogy about this, I guess, several months ago. So the Cody retirement tour or Kobe retirement tour, like when Kobe Bryant was retiring, like every arena he went to, hey, this is the last time you'll see Kobe in Atlanta, you know. And so they sold tickets and they sold merch. So I'm sure that's coming for Cena. We got a live poll here we just did. What kind of opponent should Cena get at WrestleMania? Should it be someone from his own era? That got 47% of the vote. A young talent was 17% of the vote. Not sure, but he should win. Got 22%. And not sure, but he should lose. Got 13%. And of course, in the live chat, we're asking, hey, who do you think it'll be? And some people are suggesting names like Kurt Angle or The Rock or Randy Orton. If you had to book John Cena's last WrestleMania match, fresh off of this idea that you just heard, that he's got one left, who would you pick?
I don't know, but I would pick someone who falls into the category of not Braun Breaker. Braun's a good example. I would start out with people from John's past. That's where I'd start for the nostalgia, right? And to let the story and the momentum and the whole idea of John Cena's retirement continue to build. And once I got through, however, you know, because now, you know, I don't even know if Kirk can wrestle again. Maybe he can, maybe he can't. I don't know. But those people that have been involved with John in the ring in the past, if there's any of them around, it'd be great to start there. And then you start working into the younger, hungrier, up and coming talent and let John have them all, build that momentum. And then whoever the next big deal is going to be, Braun Breaker, just it's going right out there and predicting it again. By this time next year, Braun Breaker's not going to be, if he's not the guy, he'll be in the top three guys. I'd let Braun beat him. Have John put him over 1, 2, 3. And knowing John, that's probably what he'll want to do, whether it's Braun or somebody else. He's not going to want to go out with a win. I guarantee you. Sorry, I'm not supposed to swear.
I was thinking night 2 next year at WrestleMania, Rock and Roman. Night 1, Cody and Cena.
Whew, 2 ultimate baby faces.
Passing of the torch.
Cody's already got the torch. What's he passing? The legendary status, I guess.
Same thing he'd be passing to Braun, I guess.
Yeah. that could
Catherine
be good.
Summers is with us here live, and she says, "Hey Eric, what would you have done differently with the women's Money in the Bank match? Most of the night to me was disappointing. Drinking a beer by my newly built fire pit was better."
Well, first of all, drinking a beer next to a newly built fire pit is better than most things in life. So careful how we judge here. I Here's what I would do with the women's match if I would have been producing it. I would take out about a third of the spots, and then it probably would have flowed better. It was, I mean, I love the Chelsea Green comedy stuff. You know, her being afraid of heights and all that. I thought that was fun. That's entertaining. It's okay. Not everything has to be deadly serious, and I thought that was great, kind of comedic relief in that match, and it made sense. It established it. But there just seemed to be there's just way too many spots in that match, and they were difficult to execute because it is what it is. That ladder matches are tough. So there were too many spots. They were too difficult and took too much time to set up. It just became awkward feeling. And then the execution, once they were being set up, was less than stellar. We talked about about botch spots. There was two back to back in that women's match. I can't isolate the spot exactly, but it was when the ladder's in a corner and somebody was bumping somebody on the table and they missed the ladder the first time, and one of them hit their head on the edge of the ladder. It's just too clunky. Yeah, clunky is a good word.
Talk to me a little bit about this John Cena opportunity, because the more I think about this, the more I want to circle back to, oh yeah, he's a 16-time world champion. So there's probably a story to be told that if he wins one more title, then in theory, he's won more world titles and he's the most decorated world champion in wrestling history. I could see them wanting to make that part of the story. I guess the question would be, would you use that to establish the new Raw belt, or would you use that for the big belt that Cody has?
Ooh, you're asking tough questions. I'm a nostalgia guy, so I'm going to go with the big gold belt.
Yeah.
We need at least one belt that has a relatively unbroken lineage in the professional wrestling industry, and that's what the big gold belt is. So I would pour my credibility and my nostalgia into that belt, because it'll just make the belt mean so much more down the road.
If they were to go that way, the quest for John Cena's, I mean, because he said one last time or whatever the word he used last was, it makes me think, hey, they might try to do that. Like, hey, here's my motivation to win this year's Royal Rumble. Hey, here's my motivation to win the Elimination Chamber. I mean, if that's really the direction we're going to go, and he could still win it at WrestleMania and it not be obvious that, okay, he's going to win it, but turn around and drop it because he's going back to Hollywood, especially if he's already planted the seed. Oh, no, I'm here through next December.
Mhm.
I could see it, Eric.
Yeah, and it would be a fun build. And that's what I love about a long-term plan like that is it makes it so much easier. Okay, what the end date is. It's not ambiguous. It's not like maybe December, maybe February. We'll kind of figure it out as we go. That's always a setup for failure. But when you know when it's going to end, then you just got to figure out, okay, how do I want it to end? Is John going over or is John passing the torch? Okay, he's passing the torch. Who's going to pass the torch to? And that's where it gets a little more complicated, or just trickier because you've got more things to consider. But that would be a fun. I'd just love to be a fly on the wall and watch that build. It would be fun to watch. Be a part of
Think,
history, really.
I mean, think about the hype videos you could get just comparing and contrasting all the guys who've held it 14 times and 15 times, and then 16, it's just him and Flair. That could be cool.
And
We'll
then you
see
could
what
get,
they do.
you could get some comments. I'm not suggesting get Rick out there in a ring or do anything silly like that. I hope I don't see Rick in the ring in an active role again, because I think his status as an icon and as a legend is such that the closer he gets to doing anything physical in the ring, the harder it is to really embrace him as that icon that he is. Nobody wants to see Babe Ruth go out there and try to swing a bat, right? Whatever. It's a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. I'd like to see Rick kind of in that throne that he should be in and being recognized as such, but getting some comments from Rick about what it's meant to him to be a 16-time champion and get his take on John Cena and John Cena's impact on the wrestling business and contrast that with Ric Flair's, experience and impact on the wrestling business. Those are the kind of stories that really freaking matter to people. Those are the kinds of stories that people get sucked into, like the Jeff Jarrett story and talking about Owen Hart. That's another perfect freaking example. It's a perfect example of the kind of storytelling that exists right under your nose. And if you just embrace it and maximize it, because so much of it is real. Yes, you're going to weave some fiction into the framework of the story because the story is going to build over time and all that. And it has a purpose. But 75% of it's going to be real. And that part of it is what touches people's hearts. That portion of the brain that registers emotion fires up. It gets all excited and starts sending messages to the frontal cortex because that's where your memories are, right? They're all stored in the frontal cortex, the front part of your brain. Your amygdala down here at the base of your spine, that's what processes and sends emotional signals to the rest of your brain. That's how this works. And if you don't hit emotion, if you don't trigger that amygdala and get those electrons flowing through your skull and triggering memories and emotions that you remember from similar situations, you don't really connect. You just don't. And it's right there. So I think, yes, tell the John Cena 16-time story. We hear from Ric Flair. We hear from so many other people that worked with John. All of those stories would be, and you know how well, nobody does those types of stories better than WWE. Not the NFL, not Major League Baseball, not Steven Spielberg. Nobody does them better. And it's been that way for a long, long time. And just think of all the great stories you could tell. I'm excited about this. Can you tell?
I can tell. And we actually did a poll here at 83weeks.com. Would you be into Cena chasing one more title? Yes. Give me that story. Got 53%. Nah, got 34%. And maybe, let me think, got 13%. I don't hate that idea. I kind of dig it. Let's do some questions here.